before starting, let's do something because I'm very aware of my Spanish accent. So if at some point you're not understanding me, please raise your hand and do like this. Can you do it? So for me, it's kind of good picture. Thank you, yeah. This will let me know that, okay, I should say it in a different way or slower or I don't know. Okay? Thanks, Harold. And then let's start. And just for starting, would you please raise your hand if at any point of your life you had a situation or the feeling that someone is not listening to you? Or, oh my God. No, keep it. Now, raise your other hand if any time of your life someone has told you you are not listening to them. So I think this talk, I don't need to continue like this the whole. So this talk is about actually tackling these issues, yeah? And we're going to tackle them through the ontology of language. In order to do that, we will take a deeper look on what is the action of listening like. Then we will map that to the ontology of language, so we learn about. And then I will share 5 keys coming from ontology of language that for me changed my life. Actually, the whole ontology of language changed in my way of being in this world. Yeah, I would like to share this. So, yeah, besides, I think it links pretty well with the keynote of this morning. Have you been in the keynote of Angel this morning? He was talking about conversational skills or competencies. Ontology of language is actually about that. I'm ontological coach, and it's about focusing about how we use the language. Now, who is aware of the word ontology? Who knows what ontology is? Thank you so much. So I'm going to give a really short explanation about what it is and very the surface, because it can be really. So ontology is a term actually that comes from philosophy. And it says it's the study of how we are being, or the way of being. Yeah? Then we have what we would call the metaphysical ontology. The metaphysical ontology starts to be defined like 2,500 years ago. Yeah? 2,500 years ago, in Greek, by Parmenides, then it's followed by Socrates, Aristotle, Plato, and then it continues with many philosophers more or less until 200 years ago. The metaphysical ontology, actually, and this is really in the surface, and it's not about going into the philosophical discussion, but actually it says that, in a sense, we are one. We have one way of being. So, and we are what we can be. That is only that one thing. There is one absolute truth. That is, again, very much in the surface, what the metaphysical ontology is. And it's a really hard topic after lunch. That's why it will be but it will be very short. Yeah. Now, the ontology of language, it comes with what we call the new ontology. The new ontology actually it starts with Heraclitus 2,500 years ago, but in the time between Heraclitus and Parmenides wins. Yeah, and then Heraclitus is forgotten. Until this recovered and rescued 600 years ago by Nietzsche. And then he continues with Heidegger, he continues with Wittenberg and all the existential philosophers. And actually what it says is that it's not only one essence, one truth, but the way of being is changing the whole time. We are the whole time changing. Yeah? And the whole proposal of ontology of language, or at least the one that I know, as I understand it, comes from Rafael Echeverría. Rafael Echeverría is one person from Chile. He has several books. He's in his last years, because really changed my life. Today, I would like to share what I understood from him during the last 3 years. I can already say, probably you don't remember, but today's Angels, in his presentation, he has one slide with a Rafael Echeverria. Anyone knew Rafael Echeverria before? So now you know. Yeah? So, let's take a look on the very first question when I asked you at the beginning. Hey, have you ever had a situation of having the feeling that people are not listening to you? They are not listening. Management is not listening. My team is not listening. My partner is not listening. So it's a really bad situation, because if we are saying that, the options, the choices for acting are restricted. Because if I try to convince management, but they are not listening, then these options, the choices that I want to perform, I just cannot do it. And if that happens, actually, there could be different ways of acting or behaving. The first one is if we have some authority, actually what we could do is a coercive action. And the boss, and you folks are not listening, but you do this. The good point of that, actually, is that things get done as I want. The bad point, it could be that the people, you create some moral level. People say, it's sad because, okay, at the end I have to do something that I disagree because my boss is telling me, so this could come back in the future. And not only that, if we have a team that we want the team to be self-organized, what we are doing with a coercive action is saying, it doesn't matter what you say, you are going to do what I'm telling you to do. The self-organization is my organization. It's not self-organization. We're building a culture of following what the leader says. So pretty bad situation, yeah? But then we have the other question, actually, that, in my opinion, is even worse. That is when someone tells us you are not listening to me. Still has the same effect. Some options are restricted. Some options are not available because the other person is not able to influence us. But also what the other person is saying when you are not, when they are saying, when she or him is saying, you are not listening to me, it's actually that you are not giving validity, giving value to what I have to offer. You are not really taking me into consideration. And in that situation, the relationship actually is on risk of being hurted, of being damaged. So under the ontology of language, the listening is actually a measure, a metric of the quality of that relationship. And if someone is telling us we are not listening to them, or if we have the feeling someone is not listening to us, we should take charge. We need to take care of it. Now, I'm going to share 3 ways of listening that are not coming from ontological language, but later on I will link it with ontological language. Ontology of language. So, 3 levels of listening. Yeah? The first one is called internal listening. In internal listening, what is happening is that when we are listening to a person, we are trying to map what the person is telling us to our own experience, to what we know about the topic. It's very much about me. It's about, yeah, I listen to you, and then I answer you with what I think. Yeah? So let me do a role play. By the way, I like improv theater. Have you ever been in improv theater? I like it a lot. I try to be an actor. Oh, bless. So let's think in a situation that Javi 1 meets Javi 2, and Javi 1 asks, hey, can you tell me about your last vacations, Javi 2? Yes. They were brilliant, they were nice. It was in Lanzarote, and actually they were very cool. Yeah, Lanzarote is super cool. I remember to be there and being visiting all the moon landscapes and the Jameos de Agua. It's a brilliant place. Yeah, actually, the Jameos de Agua is unbelievable. I had a really good experience there with my girlfriend. We went for having dinner. Well, I didn't really like the restaurant there. But yeah, actually, it's a great place. So this would be a bit role-playing of internal listening. The results of this internal listening is there is a flow in the conversation. It's not bad. Chit-chat is actually quite good. And I'm listening to what the other is saying. Told me that Lanzarote is cool and I'm going. By the way, Lanzarote is very good. If you have
Yes.
Now, the second action of listening is what is called focus listening. In this focus listening, what is happening is that it's not anymore about me, about what I know about the topic. It's really much about understanding how is the topic for the other person. It's a level of listening that what is happening here is I ask clarifying questions. So let's do the role playing again. Hey, can you tell me about your last vacations? Yes? Yes, yeah. Everybody in Lanzarote, they were very cool. What do you mean with cool? Well, actually, they were really cool because I went to this winery and I had a really excellent wine that is made with grapes that only grow there. And they grow in this desertic landscape. And actually, it's unbelievable how it tastes because it's really strong when you drink it, and I really love it. Yeah, and what else? Well, actually, I was there every day with my girlfriend, and it was really great.
Yes.
Yes. Good one. 3 dragons, really nice one, by the way. So what happened here? In this second way of listening, we are discovering a bit more about how the other person is seeing the world. And not giving us obvious something. For me, everyone, I have a definition of what means cool. Yeah, what a cool thing is. But I was curious about asking, what do you mean with cool? And then I discovered the standards of having about what is good. Having to is good, right? Yeah. And then there is a third type of listening, that is what we would call global listening. The global listening is not only listening about what the other is telling us, it's about listening also about what is not being told. It's about fully understanding how the other person is seeing the world. It's about being aware of how he behaves, the body he is putting. It's about understanding the emotions. Have you ever been in this situation that someone is telling you something very sad, but is telling you with a great smile? It's about maybe being curious about that, what is behind that smile. It's about inquiring about it. And let's see what you discover there. This level provides huge information because it's really making you closer to how the other sees the world. However, it's really hard to keep in this level for a long time. It's exhausting. Or I guess if you are coaches or if you have like this, it's really tricky to be there for a while. Now, let's give a deep look on those actions and the ontology of language. So, we have 3 different results. In the first, we have some flow conversation. In the second, we discover things about the observer, and in the third, what we discovered was a full understanding of the person. Those are the results. And the results are coming determined on which action I have chosen to act. If I chosen to act to behave in internal listening, in focus listening, and global listening. And those actions are enabled or not depending on how I am being in this world, depending on the mindset, and hyperbolic mindset this morning. Yeah. Depending how I am observing this world, I may have enabled one actions or others. I can tell you, Javi, the 5th of April 2025, he had enabled those three actions. I can choose. Sometimes I'm not choosing, but because maybe at the moment I'm going to explain why that. And I usually have enabled those three actions, and I could choose how to behave. Maybe Javi 10 years ago, no. He was an athlete, was he was something, even his own very weak. What is the right way? Now, what defines the observer and the ontology of language? Three things. The first, language. Language is how we use the language. For instance, as I'm being in this presentation, if I start to tell myself internally, oh, they are not interested. They are not interested in what I'm saying. I'm proud. This is not really a topic to say. The actions that I have enabled for how I'm going to perform the presentation is going to be very different than if I'm saying, oh, I'm going to give them the philosophical stone, the key of the universe. In that sense, I may perform the action different. What is another thing about language? Hey, if I'm not aware of internal listening, focus listening, and global listening, if I'm not aware of those declarations, how can I use them? If I'm not aware of what means global listening, I can never try to do it. Just not existing for me. Another thing, the judgments, the adjectives. For having to, Lanzarote is very cool. That means good for you, Javi. It is a window of how I am observing them. It's about the language, actually. That's how I'm being in that moment. Second, the body. How I'm in this world. It's not the same that I'm here in front of you, looking at you with good feet, open, talking like this. I have nothing to hide. I start to talk like this, and I start to say that I'm afraid, even this is not consciously. It's going down my consciousness. I'm getting out from this because then it's a disaster. Yeah, but we are in this world. The body also influences in the results. And the emotion. It's not the same trying to do something if you are really sad and defeated, than if you go with motivated and happiness. Those three things compound creates what is the observer. Each of those three things are affecting each other. You have just seen, when I changed my body to this, the language was, I'm going to stop it really because it's difficult for me to breathe. It's really affecting me physically right now. So language affects the body, affects the emotion, body affects language and emotion affects body and language. Now, it's not only that. I can be the way as I'm being, but the system that is around is also influencing. It's not the same having in Berlin that having in Spain, that having in Estonia. Even if I have the same language, the same body, the same emotion. I have many anecdotes when I arrived to Berlin and I was behaving as I thought I should behave because I was not like that. and really a lot of misunderstandings in the projects. There was this, I started to work as software developer in a startup in Berlin. In Spain, when we say hello, we give two pieces. And it's quite normal to touch. Touching. But just touch the arm or something like that. I grew up for 31 years in that system when I arrived to Germany. That's not really well accepted. And I had actually a conflict with that German lady. We clarified and I was able to keep in Germany. What I have just presented you is what is called OSAR model. O is for the observer, S is for the system, A is for the actions, R is for the results. And when we are doing coaching, we are trying to influence, we could try to influence in the actions, yeah, and we would have some results, maybe, if they are in the work. But sometimes those actions are not enabled because the observer does not enable those actions. So we can coach the way of being of a person in this world, the way of as this person is observing the world. So it's kind of a really deep coaching. You need to have really a lot of trust with the person in order to go there because it's really touching the soul. My opinion, my interpretation. So, now that we know the OSAR model that was created by Alicia Pizarro and Rafael Echeverria, let's take a look on what Rafael Echeverria tells us about listening. Actually, we do not listen to what the other person says, but rather to what we are interpreting they are saying. As observers of the world, we are observing the world, we are interpreting it. Before I was talking with you, and in India, I don't know if you know that they do a lot of this. So Indian people interpret this in a way that I'm not able to interpret it. I don't know how to interpret it. Yeah. And the point is that in a conversation, there are at least two observers. The speaker, the talker, and the one who is listening. And each of the observers, we don't know how has made this observer to be the way he is living this world. Therefore, they are most probably interpreting the same thing in a different way. There is a distance, always. Which it means, right now I don't know how many people are here. Let's say we are 50. Okay, there are 50 different interpretations of what I'm just saying. So 50 different guns. Which it brings us to the first key that I would like to share. Before sharing that key, is if we are interpreting the world differently, we need to be aware that there are those interpretations. We need to take in charge of that. Now, having said that, listening is a function of two things. It's the function of perception, what we perceive, plus what we listen. Okay? So we could try to focus on the perception and improve our perception. If we focus on our perception, we could try to improve our observation skills. And what can we observe? Well, there are different models. Have you ever heard of the Vibe model? Have you ever heard? It's the acronym for four things. V, the voice. How is the tone of the voice of the person? I, information, structure, what is being said. B, the body, how is this person using the body, and B, the emotions. So it is about, okay, I'm going to listen this person, but I'm going to focus on one of those four aspects. And let's see what it gives us. You could train it. I mean, this is something is not given by default, but you could train that. Also, you could observe the environment. Yeah. For those who work as agile coaches or Scrum Masters, when you go to see a Scrum team, or if they are doing a daily stand-up, what is the environment of this daily stand-up? Do they have updated information radiators? Do they update it? Is it disorder per room? Like no one is there ever, and they only go for the daily stand-up? When I do one-on-one coachings online, I ask always turn on the camera and take out the floor, using the floor background. Because it gives information. If I see that someone has the picture of the family behind, it seems that for the other person I interpret that is important, the family. And one thing, it's very different to observe remotely than to observe in person. Right now, I see Jose, that is the guy that is sitting down there. Like this. So this gives me room for interpretation. He's bored. He's excited. That's good. The second thing is focusing on interpretation. Listen is the person. Perception and interpretation. And as we said, we interpret differently because we are different observers. I think this picture says pretty well. Depending on where you are looking the world from, you see it in a different way. So if I'm the boss, if I'm the agile coach, I see that the company is a circle, why the hell management is seeing it as a square? Now, the point is that now that we know that, it's something really clear. Because whenever we are talking with someone, knowing that there is a gap, I know that there is a gap, and maybe the other person doesn't know it. So actually it comes the second key. It's not only that we are responsible of my listening, I'm responsible of the listening of others. So when someone is not listening to me, I'm responsible of helping this person to close the gap with this person. Following the ontology of language. How can we close this gap? Because we talk about perception, training my observation skills, this is depending on that. What to do with interpretation? How can I close how can I close that? In ontology of language, we can listen to the following. The first one, the semantic, how the language is being used, the meaning of the words. Moreover, if we come from different cultures and we are talking in a language that is not modern language, even if it's modern language, what if it means something for one person? I don't know if you have ever had a situation in the same organization that the same term is using very different meanings. Yes, no?
Every day.
Every day. Yes. That's why I have job. Yes. No, but this is, yeah, I want to make my teams more effective. Gracias. 15 minutes left. I want to make my teams more effective. What is more effective for you? Faster. again, about the meaning of the words, it's not only about the meaning of the words. Let me stress again the judgments that this person has. The fact that I'm saying Paris is beautiful doesn't mean that Paris is good. It's beautiful for my standards, for the way as I'm seeing the world at this moment. The judgment is never saying the absolute truth of something. A judgment says more about the person who is giving the judgment than about the thing that is being judged. It tells me about my standards, how I observe the world. I have this thing. It took them 6 months to visualize the board. And for them it was awesome that they were using a gun on board. And they were saying, this is awesome, thanks a lot, we have improved a lot. It was kind of understanding how they've been working like for the last 30 years versus how I was working like. They were happy, so I was supporting them. Second thing, the care. The care of what the other person is caring about. Have you ever had the situation of agile coach going to management and saying, yeah, we should do this so the things can be more self-organized and management very fast and I have something else to do. Why? Because maybe management is not caring about the other things self-organized. Maybe management is caring about reducing the time to market in 20%, increasing the quality, reducing the rotation ratio. So if we are able to listen the care of the other person, then we can use the language in a way that is closer to it. We will never close the gap, but we will become closer. It is what we were saying, I'm responsible for listening to the others, of course. Talk in terms that is interesting for the other person. Why about the care? Validate the care. It may happen that nobody sees care. Okay, there are models that can help us with that. Are you familiarized with a SCARF model?
Yeah.
Yeah, SCARF explains a bit, some yes, some no, so I'm going to explain it very quickly. It explains a bit the behavioral, how humans behave. It's from David Rock. Some people, the S is for status. Some people behave for gaining status. C, some people behave for gaining certainty. The provision period. That's why I always take the stories that are harmless, because I want to prove that I can stay in this company. A, autonomy. Yeah, well, the point is I'm not following others' priorities, I want to follow my priority. R, relatedness. I want to be part of this team, this company. F, to be treated with friends. So as a coach, I can do a hypothesis, I can interpret it, I can imagine that the other person wants to behave in this way. He's caring about this thing. I can ask him. I can try to talk with that person. Hey, in order to keep your autonomy, why don't you collaborate and you propose whatever? And then he can say, oh, that's cool. Or he could say, well, I don't care about autonomy. Okay, but it's not autonomy. It could be something else. Third thing, coherence. This is the coherence between in the structure of coherence of the person. Is the body, the emotions and the language corresponding and being coherent with each other? Again, the example of I tell you something very sad with a great smile. I remember once in a one-on-one coaching, I asked, what is behind that smile? And it exploded. Exploded, crying, it was out of fear there. What happened to this person? And then I started to coach to observe her, not the action. Not only about the structure of coherence, also how it is along the time. This person mean the same now, in 5 minutes, in 10 minutes, is saying the same or not? We could think why. I see you behaving like this before, now you are behaving like that. Why? What's happening there? And the fourth one, that is tricky, polemic. It cost me quite a while to understanding the good. What is the good that the other person is trying to achieve? Which it means, even if a person is attacking to me, what is the good that this person is trying to achieve by attacking to me? Maybe he's completely frightened because he believes I'm going to steal his job. He's defending his job. He's defending his family. So even in those circumstances that he could be attacking and trying to hurt me, this is my interpretation, maybe he's trying to achieve something different. Which actually is really tricky because we can go into conflict of values. Maybe some people have some values. They follow those values because they want to achieve a common good or a good for them, and we disagree with that. We completely disagree with that good, and the point there is like, well, I can understand it, but I don't share it. We can still fight back. Sorry for bringing an example from India, but I think it fits perfectly. And please correct me if I'm wrong. I think in India, the caste system is forbidden, but still is there somehow. I remember doing one thing, and in this thing, they were doing a refining meeting. Then the architect was saying something, and there was one guy that I was saying, and I said, hold on, I don't remember the name. Buddies, could you share what are you thinking? How would you do it? No, I would do it like this, and this completely different from the other guy. And then the other guy said, no, what Baris is saying is, what Baris is trying to say is this, and this. And then I thought, what the hell? He just said something different, completely different. No, but he's trying to say so. No, let's ask him again. Hey, what do you want to say? And he repeated one word after one word, the same exactly thing that the other guy. And then I thought, wow. I went to my sponsor and said, hey, you want to self-organize things, but there is something that I don't understand why you said it. It's very fast. I understood it, probably there is a good, really good reason behind. It's going against my value. And what I was being hired for, and I told the customer, listen, if you want to achieve this is what I need. So, what do we do with that? It's also values. We didn't know how to do it. If you realize, at least with the first three, we validate, we inquire, we use the language. The 9 conversations that we need to have, the keynote from Tallinn. So this is giving the third key. Please first start to listen, then talk to propose. Use the language to listen. Should be small. From Rafael Echeverría, this quote, if we want to build new realities together, the first step is to accept that none of us holds the absolute truth. Remember when I told you about the different types of ontology, metaphysical ontology, one absolute truth, one way of being, forever. New ontology of language, we are changing. So none of us is holding the absolute truth. You know, they say each of us is holding again 2%. I don't know, whatever. But it's about legitimizing the other's way of saying. When we talk with someone and that someone is not agreeing with us, do not agree with us. It's not that it's wrong. Let's just understand how he's in the world. And the fifth key, listening is not only about receiving information. Listening overall is about being open to be transformed. If we are changing the whole time, if we are a different observer, when we are listening to others, it's an opportunity to change. Maybe he convinced us, he changed our way of seeing the world. You go to a meeting saying, I'm going to convince the others. That's not that really good thing. It's not really good friend to really understand and listen to the other. So the fifth key is be open to the possibility of being transformed. Because we don't hold the absolute truth. Even if we thought so for 2,500 years in Europe and in the world. So, summarizing the five keys. And I can tell you that for me, just by knowing one of those keys, it changed completely my way of being in this world. It changed my life. So, first one, each of us interprets differently. Therefore, there will be always a gap between our interpretations. Always. Second, we are responsible of the listening of others. Third, first talk to listen, then talk to propose. We are taking pictures, wait until the last one.
We're waiting.
Four, legitimize the other. Yeah, if he's saying something very right, he's a developer is saying that he doesn't know the purpose or the strategy of the company. Even if you have shared 1,000 times the strategy of the company, believe in his position. But as well, maybe you haven't heard, maybe you didn't hear to listen, maybe something fell in the middle, who knows? We use it in an email and it's not the most effective. And last but not least, open yourself to the possibility of being transformed. I'm not just
Get out. Get out. Get out.
Let me know anyone else. It's good that I smile and it's better if I'm not there. See? Yes. Those are the five keys. For me, it was really helpful. It changed really. It didn't not only change me as a professional, but also in my personal relationships. That's what I wanted to share with you. Thank you so much. If you want to connect with Kavi, use no QR or later tell me, and if for feedback, please, the big QR. I don't know if we have time for questions, because I have a tendency to talk.